Hi, my name is Agnes Kuptana. I'm from Ulukhaktok, live and born here in Minto Inlet area, and I lived here all my life. And I do a lot of sewing, like parkas, maklaks, gamiks. I learned to sew this by watching my grandmother sewing as a child, or my mother or an aunt you go visit, or your older sister that's already learned to sew from little girl on. Just by watching, and they tell us to try, so we try like miniature things, like little gamics or little boilocks, and just by watching, then they tell us to cut out a pair for yourself or your sister or your brother, and that needs a new pair. So that's how we learn. And then they always tell us if it doesn't turn out the way you want it, the next one will be better. Not to undo, but for me, if grandma or mother is out the door, then I undo it really fast and say, I can make it better. I know I can. And it does work. Yeah. As you can see, this is atungak. This is a seal skin that you take the hair off in a kind of a warm water that you don't burn it. You take all the hair off, and then you nail it around in a board, and you put it outside, stand it good so that the big winds come, don't knock it down, and the sun dries it till it's white like this. And we use it for designs for gamics, and we design them like how our elders used to. But instead of sealskin, I preferred the hik. This is a squirrel. Hik. And over here, over here is the longer ones that I'm going to put the red sealskin around, and moose hide bottom like this, because this, I look at the colors and I say, these really stand out in red, so I chose a red sealskin. This took me a good long while, because I had to be really careful how I cut them out. This took me a design for 1 week, and this for a day. All this for a day, and they were done. And of course, and it's all hand stitched. Yeah. Helen Kalabuk is my grandmother. Yeah, she that was from my mother's side. She raised 3 children, and one of the middle one was my mother, and she grew up out on the land, following the animals and hunted. She was an artist. She would put a paper in front of her and her little eraser and her pencil, and then she just starts drawing, just thinking up the stories in her mind, what she went through and the stories that were told to her. Then she starts drawing, and when she's done, then she does her coloring. And so she says, who is going to carry on my artwork when I'm not here no more? And I didn't know what to say. I never thought of it. How she wants to see someone from grandkids to carry on her work. So I started trying, and I got good at it. And when I started getting orders for gamics and boilocks and parkas, I kind of left it behind, but I still do little mini things. It's all about language. It's because of the language that we try to keep alive, because we are losing our language really fast. It's a language where the older children are starting to say, like, how do you say it again? If I say it correctly, and you have to repeat it. And the grandkids, they can speak some, but of course, them too, having difficulty, because when they go to school, they just go so far into the language, and then other things, other programs. They're not keeping up the language, like right from I wish they would from kindergarten right till grade 12, you know, because that's why it is really important for us to try and do programs such as out on the land programs. It's all in the language. And of course, sometimes if they're struggling and they're having a hard time and to understand, you do kind of a sign language, like, you know, and they say, ilitpunga, it's kaumabunga, meaning that, oh, I learned, I remember. Now it's coming back to me, you know. You really try hard to keep the language alive by everything you do, like what do you have for hunting and for out on the land, if, you know, the safety skills that, you know, that you got to teach, and the names of the lands and places, and the weather, how the weather is every day. And of course today you can tell that the weather has really changed due to climate change. Has a big impact on our land, our animals, and our waters. So, you know, it's the language that my father says one day, you got to keep the language alive, panik, meaning panik means daughter. Way back when some of the buildings were still across in the Kings Bay, which we call it across there, the old town, there was only two buildings. One was Roman Catholic Church, and the other one was Hudson Bay, their house and a store and a warehouse or not. Yeah. And then people started talking about cooperative, you know, build a co-op. And so people says, here's my $10. So each person go in with $10, and that's how they began, by carvings, by print making, drawing, and carving on the stones, make them flat, and copy the prints, and roll them and paint them, and make prints, big prints, mini prints. And that's how it started. Just pretend this was a natural sealskin. And of course, the middle will be all dark. It's a ring seals, and all both sides would be white. So what they do is cut off all the black and use these white pieces to make designs of, say, they use the pictures and the stories of long ago. They make the design and put, it's black, so they do white, and then make a little design, maybe something like this on both sides, and the tapestry wall hanging is done. And then they make number of those like that, and they send them to Winnipeg, where the co-op offices, head office. Then they make sales, and that's how our co-op built up and became big, like more and more people coming in as members. When we teach at the Nunamin Ilihakbea, meaning learning from the land, we get funds in, and we put on Facebook to say who would be interested. And first we get together early in the fall and say how we're going to use the budget, what are we going to be making, and we decide, you know, of the things that they used to do long ago, such as iperahok, meanings, comics that go right up, and there you sew from outside and from inside, and ugiuk bottoms. And then so this is what they used to use for in the water, going in the water when they're spearing, or if they're just coming in from boat from seal hunting, and they put their hunts down into a water and tie them together, and they were waterproof. That's what we were making. And another one we just finished was called Atungag comics, that the young ladies have designed their own and finish up. And another one was where we get a muskak hide, a young muskak, and we tan it. We let the young girls tan it and soften it, and make gauntlet mitts for their other half, so they can do hunting in the fall, go fishing and netting under the ice, and hunting.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Try and carry on that so that when we're not here no more, then they can carry on what they have learned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.